What lawful basis was there for you to put her in handcuffs in response to her not giving you her ID?
I don't know.
In order to detain somebody, what do you have to have legally?
I do not know the law legally.
These cops had no idea about the most fundamental laws, and yet they went on to enforce them on law-abiding citizens. It's not surprising that they were in for a rude awakening. In March 2018, Amanda Bergquist, a self-proclaimed First Amendment auditor, arrived at Bridgeview Courthouse for traffic tickets. After being denied entry with her camera, she began filming outside, prompting a courthouse officer to escalate the situation even further.
Ma'am, can I ask what you're doing?
I'm recording the building.
Why?
Because I want to.
For what purpose? Can I get a supervisor to the front door, please?
Hey, ma'am, you know this is a public building?
Exactly, that's why I'm recording
It's
it.
also a court facility,
Yep.
which there is a judicial law or judicial order that says that you cannot tape this building.
Can I see that order?
Yes, come on in. We're going to check your IDs too.
Oh, no, I'm not going in.
Oh, yeah, no. We're going to run you too.
No, that's all
We're going to
right.
get your name. We're going to do a report and everything. So come on in.
No.
No, yeah, you're going to come in now.
No Illinois law outright bans recording the exterior of a courthouse, so long as it's done from public property without interference. Amanda met those conditions. With no legal ground to stand on, the officer began flipping through an imaginary law book only he believed existed.
Am I being detained?
Yes,
For what?
because right now you are doing something suspicious.
That's not a reason to detain anybody.
Well, it is for Dana. Come on.
It's really
Let's
not.
go
So
inside
I'm just going
now.
to stay here and continue recording.
Okay. You're going to come in and we're going to find out who you are and what you're doing here.
No, you're not.
Okay. All right, who's got cuffs? She does not want to go agreeably.
This wasn't a lawful detention. It was a power move, wrapped in a vague excuse called suspicion. Amanda stood firm, refusing to identify herself. And when logic failed the officer, he reached for force.
Okay, call your lawyer.
That includes my camera as far as consent.
Well, it's already on.
Are you
So.
familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
Oh, great. Why do we always get the crazy?
I don't know. You need to delete my footage.
Do you want to cooperate or not?
Remaining silent.
It is only making it worse. Do you want to give us an
Remaining
ID?
silent. Remaining silent. Don't consent to searches.
Search it. We're asking you for an ID. What the fuck is going on today?
I don't know.
Every crazy loon in the building is coming. All we're asking is an ID.
We're asking for an ID.
We'll do a report. You can go on your way with your camera. Otherwise, I'm going to confiscate the camera and we're going to take it downstairs
what crime?
and print you. Because you're suspicious.
Remaining silent.
She invoked the Fourth Amendment, only to be mocked for it, exposing a disturbing mindset. Refusing consent to a search, remaining silent, asking for a lawyer, none of it was illegal. But to the officers, silence was guilt, and the law was just an obstacle.
This is going to be your last chance. We're going to take you downstairs. Then you will be arrested. We will fingerprint you, and we will run you.
Is this what you want?
Remaining silent.
We're going to probably take her in front of the judge.
Okay.
He's going to hold her in contempt for, I think right now he's doing 90 days.
Okay.
So, that's okay with you?
Remaining silent.
Okay, but you realize you're going to go to Cook County Jail for 90 days.
Remaining silent.
Okay?
Okay.
You have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we can do a report and we'll let you go on your way.
I have an option.
Yeah?
We told you that before.
Because right now you're just obstructing and you're in contempt.
Obstructing what?
You're obstructing us from doing our job.
Remaining silent.
All right, cuff her. Let's get her purse.
Ken.
Get her stuff.
I don't consent to searches.
Well, we don't care anymore.
Sergeant Jennifer Larson and Lieutenant Donald Miazzo handcuffed Amanda, charging her with obstruction. She was later released. But the story didn't end there. Soon after, Amanda filed a lawsuit against Cook County alleging multiple human rights violations: unlawful detention, intimidation, threats, unlawful arrest, misconduct in office, and illegal search. The trial process has been ongoing for several years.
Is it against the law to take pictures of a courthouse?
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is it lawful to arrest somebody for taking pictures outside of the courthouse? Of the courthouse?
No, no.
Okay. Is there something
Okay, sorry.
So I gotta get every word because it's on video.
Okay.
The officer admits on record, recording a courthouse isn't illegal. Yet Amanda was still arrested. This contradiction forms the backbone of her case. It's a confession buried in plain sight.
Are you familiar with this case at all?
Which case?
The case that brings us here today, that you're testifying in.
Yes.
Okay, and in a nutshell, what's the case about?
I would say that Amanda is, I guess I called you to say that she was outside videoing when she shouldn't have been. So she's saying we violated her amendment rights.
You're correct. When you say when she shouldn't have been, what does that mean? Was she doing something wrong?
Just something unusual, what us as officers would consider unusual.
Unusual, okay.
The officers clearly couldn't articulate a reason, and unusual was their only weapon. But in America, unusual is not illegal. Moreover, her facial expressions betrayed a mix of guilt and confusion, and from there, things only grew more absurd.
Would it be lawful? Just because it's unusual?
No.
Okay. Is there something unlawful about recording outside of a building?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Let me ask you this. Was Miss doing anything illegal when she was detained?
No, I would say it was not illegal, unusual.
Okay. In order to detain somebody, what do you have to have legally? Do you know?
I do not know the law legally.
Hearing a 20-year veteran admit she doesn't know the law was both laughable and disappointing. Admitting nothing illegal occurred, her excuse unraveled into something embarrassingly hollow.
Did you have any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime?
We had reasonable suspicion to ask her what she was doing and why she was doing it, just to get who she was and why.
You and I agree on that you had the right to ask her whatever you wanted to ask her. Did you have the right to put her in handcuffs?
For the security of the officers, yes.
Okay. What made her a threat?
Her refusing to give any information that was requested of her.
Was she legally obligated to give that information?
When an officer has asked her for security purposes to give her identity up, yes.
Now defending their actions for officer safety from a woman who posed no threat, refusing to speak doesn't make someone dangerous. In fact, it's a right. And just when you thought her legal brilliance had peaked, the next question she asked somehow made her grasp of the law look even more impressively non-existent.
Have you ever heard of something called a Terry search or a Terry frisk?
I have.
Okay, what is that?
I'm not going to say exactly. I don't know the law.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you this. A police officer is allowed to go over to anybody they want, demand to see ID, and if they refuse, they get to arrest them? Is that your testimony? Or detain them?
Okay. I do believe, yes, for officer safety, they do have the right.
Doesn't there have to be reasonable suspicion that the person committed a criminal offense or violated a law?
Because I don't know the law exactly.
This was lawlessness under a badge, driven by fear, confusion, or worse, ego. Her entire justification hinged on ignorance, and now it was being exposed under oath, line by line.
Any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime, yes or no?
We weren't sure what she was doing.
Okay, so if you don't know what somebody's doing, do you have reasonable suspicion that they're doing anything in particular?
No, but we have a reasonable response to ask what she was doing.
Right. Agreed. You could ask her what she's doing. And when she refuses to answer, are you now allowed to detain her?
Yes.
Who told you this? That you get to detain people who are videoing and refuse to identify themselves when asked?
The truth was catching up. Out of answers and worn-out excuses, the officer had twisted suspicion 100 ways. until finally, all that remained was a bold, blatant lie.
In fact, you said to her that they take it not so lightly. It can either be an incident report or you can go to bond court. Remember saying that?
No,
I'm remaining
they
silent.
take it not so lightly. It can either be an incident report.
Ironically, it was their own body cam that exposed their coercive actions against Amanda. But at least Sergeant Jennifer admitted an absence of lawful justification for detainment. Lieutenant Donald, however, told a different story.
What would you do if one of those people said to you, what's the difference between arrest and detain? What would your answer be?
Call legal.
Mr. Gorman, seated to your left?
No. Sheriff has their own legal.
Oh, okay. Their own legal who helps them understand things like the difference between arrest and detain.
Yes.
Gotcha. Was there a lawful basis to handcuff her?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that lawful basis?
Officer safety.
If you could go back in time to the day that you arrested her, would you still arrest her?
So you're asking me if I can go back in time?
Yeah.
I don't know how I could do that.
Okay, did you understand my question?
I did, and you're asking me to suppose whether or not I can go back in time. I can't.
So you can't tell me if you would still arrest her?
I can't tell you what would happen on that day if I went back in time, no.
Unlike Officer Jennifer, it wasn't his ignorance of the law that shocked everyone. It was the confidence behind it. His ego-fueled responses aimed to overpower the lawyers, leaving them momentarily thrown off balance. But then the lawyers hit him with a question that wiped the smugness off his face.
Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment, by the way?
Vaguely.
What does it say in your own vague terms?
No illegal search and seizure.
Right, unless there's,
Probable cause.
or,
That's about all I know.
okay, all right, good enough. You said that's about all I know. All right, now, there was somebody else who asked you the same question that I just asked you about your familiarity with the Fourth Amendment, who's in this room right now. Do you know who that person was? My client, Ms. asked you that, didn't she?
I don't recall.
She asked you, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment? You don't remember that?
No.
I talked to a lawyer.
Okay, call your lawyer.
That includes my camera as far as consent.
Well, it's already on.
Are you
So,
familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
oh, great. Why do we always get the crazy?
I don't know.
Under the Fourth Amendment, individuals are protected against unreasonable searches and seizures. This means law enforcement must have probable cause or a valid warrant to detain, search, or arrest someone. Rights Amanda clearly tried to invoke not just once, but multiple times. Yet her words were ignored and even mocked by both officers.
When people act in a way that is not in their best interest,
How is she acting that was not in her best interest?
well, at any time, all she had to do is identify herself. We could have done our report,
You have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we can do a report, and we'll let you go on your way.
and everything could have gone the own.
And if somebody were to threaten you that unless you comply with their demands, they're gonna put you in handcuffs, would you automatically necessarily comply with their demands?
Yes.
No object.
You would.
False for speculation.
He was able to answer. So you would. So even if there's somebody who is acting as a law enforcement officer, giving you an unlawful order, threatening you with detainment or arrest or 90 days jail, if you don't comply with their unlawful demands, you would still comply?
Yes.
Alrighty.
The officer openly admitted without hesitation that his actions were threatening and coercive without ever questioning their wrongness. That alone proves the culture is broken from the inside out.
Is there a law that requires people to identify themselves when requested by law enforcement?
I don't know.
But you never told her, matter-of-factly, that she's going to go to jail for 90 days if she doesn't give you her ID?
I don't recall that, no.
Well, did you or did you not? Or do you not know?
I do not recall that.
Is that something that you would do and say?
No.
As expected, the lieutenant lacked knowledge of the very laws guiding his actions, revealing just how arbitrary his conduct was, not forgetting how he denied behavior clearly captured on body cam.
I don't know.
Did you delete her pictures?
No.
Who did?
Don't know.
You don't know who deleted her pictures?
No.
By the time you got in front of Judge Peter Felice, They were deleted, weren't they?
As far as I know, they were still on there.
You grabbed her camera
Yes.
away from her outside, did you not?
Yes.
From that point until you were in front of Judge Peter Felice, did she ever hold her camera again?
No.
Okay, so you had it the entire time.
Yes.
Didn't Judge Peter Felice talk to you about whether the pictures had been deleted?
He asked for the memory thing so he could delete them.
The officer paused to recall his own actions, a clear sign he was fabricating. Body cam footage showed him adjusting the camera despite Amanda's refusal. Now the lieutenant was ready to shift blame onto someone no one expected.
You just said that he asked you for the memory card because he wanted to delete the pictures. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And if he were to testify at some point in time that he absolutely, categorically did not delete those pictures, then would you want to change your answer as to whether you or one of your people did?
No one had custody of the camera but me.
Would it have been lawful for you to delete her pictures?
I don't know.
What do you think? Are you allowed to go over to people's pictures and delete them
No.
without a court order?
No.
That would be a violation of which amendment? Do you know?
No.
According to law, there is no legal authority granting officers the right to delete citizen-recorded photos, videos. Doing so may be unconstitutional and unlawful, potentially exposing officers or agencies to legal consequences.
What do you do if somebody says they want to talk to a lawyer and you have them in handcuffs?
We allow them to call a lawyer.
Do you keep asking them questions?
Depends on the case.
Oh, I got you. Okay, tell me the case in which you would continue to ask questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer.
If we're doing an investigation, we're going to ask.
I got you. Okay. Do you know which amendment it is that allows people to demand a lawyer? Do you have any idea?
No.
At last, the officer hit a wall. His justifications crumbled. His invented rules exposed. He was finally forced to confront the uncomfortable truth. His actions and his understanding of the law were dangerously hollow.
Have you ever read anybody the Miranda rights?
No.
You've never read anybody their Miranda rights?
No.
Have you ever arrested anybody
No.
other than Ms. Berquist?
No.
And you don't know the Miranda rights?
Not offhand, no.
When you arrest somebody, do you have to advise them that they have the right to remain silent?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that they have the right to an attorney?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that if they cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what if somebody says, yes, I want to talk to an attorney? Do you get to keep asking them questions? Or do you have to call a lawyer for them before you want to ask any more questions?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know if you're allowed to keep asking questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer?
No.
Judging by his answers, the lawyers assumed he was a nervous rookie. Maybe his first arrest, fumbling under pressure. But when asked about his experience, the truth was genuinely jaw-dropping.
How long have you been employed at Cook County Sheriff's?
27 years.
27 years. I imagine you only became a lieutenant recently?
No.
How long ago did you become a lieutenant?
22 years ago?
You've been a lieutenant for 22 years and you don't know the Miranda rights?
Yes.
What's your rank?
Sergeant.
How long have you been a sergeant?
I have been a sergeant 10 years. It will just be coming up on
How long have you-
9.5 years.
How long have you been working for the Cook County Sheriff's Office as a law enforcement officer of some sort, in any capacity?
19 years and 10 months.
What are the Miranda rights?
Our Miranda rights, I would have to read them to you from a pre-written.
They wore badges, yet fumbled the very rights they were sworn to protect, clinging to lies, dodging accountability, and denying what their own body cams revealed. But this wasn't an isolated collapse. The next case pushes the failure even further when officers cross paths with someone who was patiently, deliberately waiting for them to slip.
Turn the car off for me and drop the back windows.
Am I being detained or something?
Yes, sir.
For what reason?
We got you for loitering fine. You're driving around. You drove past us 3 times.
It's loitering, you think? You know, I bet you qualified immunity on that?
Yes, so right now you're in the position. You're not out of the lawful time. Somebody else would be out. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. You're out driving around. I've seen you make 3 loops around us while we were over there on a security check.
And your point is?
Just trying to
I mean, I'm not convinced it's any of your business what I'm doing out here.
I'm just trying to see why you're out here this late, this early in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not convinced it's any of your business.
It is my business. I'm just trying to figure out why you're out here.
I'm still not convinced.
All right, give me your license, registration, proof of insurance.
For what reason?
You're lawfully detained right now. You need to provide ID.
I'm lawfully detained.
Yes, sir.
This was Jeff Gray, a man simply driving in circles near a patrol car at 3 a.m. Suspicious? Maybe. Illegal? Not at all. Yet what followed wasn't routine questioning. It was an unnecessary escalation that went far beyond the badge's bounds.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yeah.
Sergeant Harris, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Okay, these are all closed businesses. You don't have any warrants, you're free to go. You need to dispel our alarm while you're stopped in front of 2 businesses that are closed.
Okay, I'm going to dispel your alarm right now.
You can do that, but you need to understand this is our traffic stop.
Excuse me.
You don't run it.
You don't have a traffic stop. You haven't stopped me for a traffic
I have
infraction.
stopped.
No, you haven't.
Yes, you did. You stopped in the middle of the roadway, sir.
I stopped in a lawful parking spot. I've got a dash cam.
It took you a second to get there.
Like I said, I'm not convinced it's any of your business what I'm doing out here.
Listen, if you're a private investigator and you're working, that's fine, but you need to verify
I'm
that.
still not convinced it's any of your business.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so am I free to go?
No,
What do you have me detained for?
sir. I'll go to the back and run the plate.
As it turns out, Jeff wasn't just out for a drive. He was conducting Cop Watch. For those unfamiliar, Cop Watch is a network of independent activist groups dedicated to observing and recording police activity, specifically to hold law enforcement accountable for misconduct or abuse. It's entirely legal and protected, so long as it doesn't interfere with officers performing their duties. In Jeff's case, he knew the law, but the officers he encountered clearly didn't.
What do you have detained? What do you have me detained for?
Loitering and prowling. You were driving out.
Is it loitering or prowling or cop watching?
It's not cop watch, it's loitering and prowling. We saw you make 3 loops around. There was a closed businesses parked over there.
Are you guys cops?
Yes, we are.
Have you ever heard of cop watching?
I have.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out, just have you dispel my alarm.
How's it going, sir? My name is Officer Kilpatrick, Pinellas Police Department.
Yeah.
So, as of right now, you are detained. Okay, you're not free to leave. All right.
Unlike the female officer who avoided giving any justification, the male officer stood firm, offering vague reasons for suspicion, yet none for detaining Jeff. This was an unlawful stop. And knowing he was engaged in Cop Watch, they should have walked away. Instead, they chose the exact opposite, escalating a situation they were never legally justified to begin.
As of right now, we have a lawful reason to detain you. We've notified.
And what is that lawful reason?
Okay, you're a traffic stop.
It's not a traffic
You're a
stop.
traffic stop.
For what reason? What's the traffic stop for?
Whenever you pulled off of East Drain Street, you failed to come to a complete stop before exiting the roadway. Okay? We were on foot.
You see I've got a dash cam?
Okay, that's cool. That's fine. This isn't roadside court. Okay? So we've notified you for the reason. You can. Please provide me with your driver's license, registration proof.
And if I don't, what'll happen?
At that point, you're failing to identify to a law enforcement officer with the misdemeanor.
So you're claiming, it's in my pocket, so you're claiming that you have me stopped for a lawful reason?
Yes, sir. Once again, this is not roadside court. So
A traffic stop is a lawful detention based on a suspected traffic violation. This was, by definition, not even close, and demanding ID took it further. Jeff found it laughable, though sadly, not surprising, and confronted them.
You know what? You guys are full of shit.
okay. So if you can you please provide me with
I'm
your
out here
driver's
cop
license?
watching, that's all I'm doing. I've told you what I'm doing, I've dispelled your alarm. I'm out here,
I still
I'm
need
a
to
grown
identify
man, and it doesn't matter if I'm out here at 2:50 in the morning, it's irrelevant.
That's fine.
Alright?
But that's my reason for coming over here. Okay.
Alright, you guys can have a nice night and let me go free.
No,
Free to go.
you're not free to leave.
When am I free to go?
Once you identify yourself.
You don't get to just identify me for no reason. You don't have
Once
me
again, I've
for
told
you
you
do
you're
not
being stopped.
have me for a legitimate
Okay,
traffic
sir,
stop.
So here's the thing.
You don't have me for a
Okay,
legitimate traffic
cool.
stop.
Sir?
I stopped
I've
at that stop
explained-
sign.
I've
You,
explained the reason.
you said I stopped. I failed to come to a complete stop.
Yes, sir.
I stopped at that stop sign. I counted to 3.
Okay, so sir,
Use my
this
turn
is not
signals.
roadside court.
It's still going.
Okay, so this is not roadside court, sir. You can please identify yourself.
My name is Jeff.
Okay, can I please see your
She
identification?
just identified me.
Even without Cop Watch, the law grants Jeff full right to drive freely, regardless of time, so long as no traffic laws are broken. But the officer still decided to detain him. Meanwhile, the female officer returned, now raising a new issue.
I need to see your
The
identification.
tag
sir.
does not come back. It's not showing a registered vehicle. Now you have to show some registration and verify because it's not legal on the street.
You guys are so full. You're so full of
I just ran it on that.
You're full of Shut up.
Thank you, sir. If I may see your registration and insurance, please. Thank you, sir. I'll spend it.
Finally, the officer clung to what they'd been scrambling for. Jeff's vehicle was unregistered, a citable offense. Jeff, having seen enough, chose to step back and avoid unnecessary confrontation.
Sir, sometimes that happens with a dealer tag, so that's why I'm asking, is the vehicle
Look,
registered to a
this
dealer?
whole stop is bull.
You're going to be free to go in just 1 second, as
Oh, I
long
know,
as you
I
can
know,
verify.
because I'm
okay?
not doing anything wrong. You guys have stopped me for a constitutionally protected activity, is what you've done.
Understood, but the tag is not valid, sir. So that tag does not come back to this car. So now it is a good probable cause.
I've got it right there on the registration.
Okay, well, I'm verifying to you what our dispatch said.
Okay.
The first initial stop was the stop sign violation next to
Stop
the
sign
church.
violation.
That was the first one. Okay, but we were checking a business, so we couldn't get to our
You
car
guys,
quick enough.
I don't want to hear your bullshit. All right,
Okay.
just shut your mouth and tell them free to go. All right, I don't want to hear your bullshit. I don't believe any of it. I think you're all full of shit.
Okay, and then
You're
okay
making
to do
shit
that.
up. You're making lies up.
Not at all, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And my dash cam will prove it.
Okay, no worries.
I'm out here doing cop watching. That's why I'm riding around. I've told you what I'm doing. I've dispelled your
Understood. That's
All right.
all. My
All
job
right.
is to keep sure my businesses don't get broken into at night.
All right, have a good
That's
night.
all. All right, thanks.
This case exposed officers detaining without cause, misusing suspicion, and ignoring Jeff's legal rights. From unlawful stop to escalating illegal activity, their actions reflected a troubling disregard for both accountability and the Constitution.
Mr. Jeff, just two things. When we first initially saw you where we were on foot by the business, it appeared it was a stop bar violation. We were over there, we couldn't get out with you, no big deal. When I get to the vehicle and I run the tag, dispatch says it doesn't have a record, which is common with a dealer tag. I didn't know that you had this registration, so I advised you on the other side. It appeared to be a dealer tag, so it is. All your credentials are verified, sir. You're free to go.
And that brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please support the channel by subscribing, leaving a like, and comment if you want to watch more content like this. And make sure to watch the next video right here. It's just as thrilling.